our role is simple. It is to raise the concerns of common Singaporeans to today's ivory tower government and to propose good policy reforms that will improve lives of the many and not just the elite. Right now, the PAP has a freedom to pass whatever policies it wants, even if these policies cause more suffering for the average men and women on the street like you and me. This is because the PAP has a super majority in Parliament. It is time for change. Singaporeans are counting on you to break this super majority with your vote. Here are some of our proposed policy reforms crafted with your well-being in mind. We want to better your quality of life today and lay good foundation for the generations to come, so they will be proud to be Singaporeans. If you share the same vision as we do, and if you believe in our plans, please give us your support. First of all, we'll talk about reducing the cost of living, especially for the sandwiched middle class and working class. I'll share some of the proposals that we have. Now, the Transport Minister, Mr. Chee Hong Tat, claims that the government uses Singapore's resources responsibly and does not indulge in fiscal fantasies. Here are just a small list of what SDA calls fiscal flops, which have cost Singaporeans over $1 billion in public monies. Some examples I'll share with you. Spending 556 million on an ERP OBU system that cannot take the heat here. Squandering $40 million on a Simply Go, the U-turn, after failing to understand the needs of the users like you and me. 15 million in mayor's allowances from 2020 to 2025. Paying 400,000 to a branded firm to rename Marina Bay as Marina Bay. After so much wasteful spending, the government sees it fit to raise taxes during a cost of living crisis. Now, this is not what a compassionate or responsible government would do. Don't you agree with me? Now, the SDA, on the other hand, proposes a formation of an independent body similar to the CPIB, which proactively checks on government spending, from mega projects to ministry budgets. We also propose that the findings of their checks will be open to the elected members of Parliament. Our elected MPs can then raise debates in Parliament on projects which are deemed extravagant. Cost savings from trimming wasteful spending will reduce the need for unnecessary tax hikes, and this move will also improve the accountability of the government when it comes to prudent use of taxpayers' monies, our monies. Next, let's talk about rental regulations, property tax credits for coffee shops, and commercial spaces in residential neighborhoods. Now, this is a carrot and stick approach to lowering rents. Because you know, in land-scarce Singapore, demand often outstrips supply for coffee shop stalls and commercial store spaces. It is common, you may have heard, to hear of hawkers having to shut down or relocate due to coffee shop rents increasing 2 or 3 times. Meanwhile, SMEs struggle to sustain their businesses due to high rents, a problem even the Singapore Business Federation has raised in recent years. Just as an example, the uncle selling wonton mee. Now he faces a problem. The rent has gone up. Think about it, how many more bowls of wonton mee does he need to sell just to cover the rent? And that is the big problem. Such rentier behavior by greedy landlords will further erode Singapore's competitiveness and kill entrepreneurship and innovation, as it has done for so many years now. Now, to make life better, local small businesses must be given a fair shot at starting up, competing, and prospering. Now, the SDA proposes rent controls on coffee shops and commercial shop spaces in residential neighborhoods to prevent landlords from raising rent unfairly and exorbitantly. This will be coupled with property tax rebates to reward landlords for offering sustainable rent increases. A committee comprising of stakeholders working with elected MPs will review and approve proposed rental increases and tax rebates. The findings and the recommendations will be published and open to public scrutiny. The independent committee will scrutinize rental agreements to ensure that landlords do not include multiple miscellaneous fees to jack up the overall prices for the tenants, which is what is currently being done at social enterprise hawker centers. The SDA believes that this two-pronged approach is necessary to moderate rental increases. This approach can be scaled flexibly later on to include the business districts. In turn, common Singaporeans like you and me will enjoy affordable hawker fee or hawker fare rather, and a wider variety of products and services offered by independent producers. In the next section, let's talk about sustained financial support for struggling families. Now, the SDA proposes a family care account. This family care account can be funded by our proposed increase in the use of the yearly net investment return contribution. The net investment returns, or NIR, is the amount the government earns every year from investments. The government then decides that every year 50% of this will be used for present day spending every year. That 50%, known as the NIRC, is about $25 billion. But the NIRC percentage is an arbitrary figure. In former Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong's words, 50% has a certain psychological resonance to it. If this is arbitrary, then it should be flexible, isn't it? The SDA proposes to increase the NIRC by another 5%, or roughly $1.25 billion a year. Singaporeans today are suffering from the crushing increases in the cost of living, brought about in part by the government's irresponsible policies. Meanwhile, Singapore's fertility rate is hitting all-time lows year after year, with the high cost of living being the key reason for couples choosing not to have children. With the threat of born and bred Singaporeans halving within the next 50 years, who are we saving so much money for? The government must tweak its arbitrary reserve accumulation formula and devote more support to families today to ensure the longevity of Singaporeans in the years to come. Next, let's talk about job prospects and creating a level playing field for our Singaporean talents. The SDA proposes two things. Number one, a staggered levy on employment pass holders to incentivize firms to hire and groom our own Singaporean talents. Number two, to increase NSF allowance to local qualifying salary and giving free local university education. Presently, in fact, companies are not restricted by any quotas or levies when hiring EP holders. It is understandable that foreigners seek better job opportunities in Singapore. After all, like us, they want to improve their quality of life too. But this should not come at the expense of Singapore talents. Now, government policy has made Singaporean professionals more expensive to hire here compared to foreigners due to the 17% CPF contribution rate which employers must pay to employ Singaporeans. Now, coupled with a red carpet welcome to foreign EP holders, it is no wonder our Singaporean PMETs feel the playing field has been skewed against them. The SDA proposes a staggered levy on EP holders. This levy will be higher for positions that require entry-level skill sets and tapers down for highly skilled positions. Such a levy incentivizes companies to hire and groom young Singaporeans to take up high-skilled and managerial positions. This levy will also level the playing field for middle-aged Singaporeans who face the prospect of being too expensive to hire. Now, for our boys, we actually propose to increase the NSF allowance and give free local university education. Our young full-time national servicemen are hobbled in their early stage career due to the 2 years they spent serving the nation. Instead of digging trenches, spending those valuable years gaining job experience would make them more competitive in today's globally connected economy. Working class families suffer too when their boys are serving their duty. Now, unlike the president, the ministers and MPs, our NSF boys are not allowed to take on side jobs during national service. The government must no longer brush such aside, saying that their service cannot be measured in dollars and cents. The SDA also proposes free local university education for NSFs who qualify. This is similar to America's GI Bill, where military personnel receive education benefits after serving active duty. Now, the allowance increase and the free university education can be funded from the annually projected billions that we will receive in the levies from EP holders. Now, the SDA's proposed reforms will ease the financial strain on families who rely on them. And for the more entrepreneurial, the savings they have accumulated will give them a bigger financial cushion to try new, bold endeavors and potentially succeed. Next, let's talk about making housing more affordable and accessible to all. The Build-to-Order BTO scheme was launched in 2001. Since then, young families have had to suffer multiple rejections for a flat due to a supply crunch. They also had to suffer the prices of HDB flats rising faster than most workers' wages and the long waiting times for a new flat, sometimes up to 7 years. Now, that was also the time when the prices of HDB flats skyrocketed. Now, in the recent times, the government has chosen to build an average of about 20,000 BTO flats a year. But this does not appear to be sufficient. In the last 5 years, there were about 130,000 registered marriages. Now, the supply crunch, together with the government's choice to peg BTO flat prices to market rates, really worsens the affordability problem for young families. Now, the SDA proposes a build more, build ahead and build simpler plan to increase public housing availability and keep the prices affordable. Building ahead of demand, the waiting times for new flats will be cut by more than half to roughly 2 years or less. And this is important for young couples as the median age of marriage today is about 30 years old. Now, shorter waiting times means they can transit earlier into starting families. We also propose that the HDB build simpler, bare-bone flats, which it used to do as far as up to the 1990s or early 2000s. Now, this way, couples can save on construction costs. These cost savings can be used to pay for renovations and the amount for which a couple can decide based on their personal financial circumstances. Now, thirdly, we propose to to increase the number of new HDB flats built a year. Unsold flats can be rented out as temporary lodging for singles or other young couples until they have secured their own personal accommodation. On the whole, such a move will not crash the housing market, considering that 35,000 permanent residents and 22,000 new citizens are coming each year that the government is minting. The proposed increase in new flats is achievable, as the government has already zoned out areas for housing over the long term in its URA master plan. Now in the next section, let's talk about increasing access to quality and affordable healthcare for all. Quality healthcare and medications are way more expensive in Singapore compared to neighboring nations. Many Singaporeans have to endure long waiting times at public hospitals, up to over a day at times. And when we do get a bed, fees for better quality wards such as B1 wards and above are very high. Besides this, we have to pay exorbitant fees for better quality medication and medical treatments that do not qualify for government subsidies. But options for the common Singaporeans like you and me, struggling to keep up with the high cost of living, are limited. Even if we wanted to seek treatment abroad, less than a handful of hospitals and clinics allow the use of MediSave to pay for bills. Why should we Singaporeans be denied the use of MediSave to pay for quality healthcare, since it is our savings? Meanwhile, the MOH courts medical tourists to come to Singapore, a move which indirectly jacks up the prices of healthcare here. Now, the SDA proposes to expand the network of accredited healthcare institutions across ASEAN and allows Singaporeans to use our MediSave at these institutions. Countries such as Thailand, Vietnam, and Malaysia have good advanced medical facilities and capable doctors. It would not be a surprise to walk into a GP clinic in Malaysia and find a plaque on the wall stating that the physician graduated from the National University of Singapore. Now, with the Johor Singapore Special Economic Zone, areas in fact have already been zoned for increased collaboration in healthcare. More options abroad for Singaporeans will lessen the strain on our local healthcare system, which is already suffering from bed and labour shortages. Increased competition will serve to lower the overall cost of healthcare here, which in turn opens up more choices for Singaporeans like you and me. Now, the SDA staunchly believes that Singapore must be a home for common Singaporeans like you and me to live happily and prosper. Our home must never become just another playground for the money-hungry elite. Our proposed reforms are effective, are scalable, and can be flexibly applied to address the needs of all Singaporeans and improve the quality of life for all of us. What is needed now is the political will to enact such reforms and parliamentarians who serve as a good and honest check on the government. My friends, it's time for change. Please give SDA your support. Together, let's make change happen. Singapore is counting on you. Thank you.